Welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. My name is Hussein. Happy to be with you. Happy you could be with me. I'm trying to collect some of my slides for what I'm trying to do tonight. And just taking a second here. I've got them here, but I got to download them. Well, maybe we could just look at them here. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Um, all right. Sorry, I don't have the music. I used to have the music. I lost the music that I used to use. Got the donkey there. I don't know what happened to the music. I ended up deleting a bunch of stuff, and among the stuff I deleted was my music. I got this one. That was one of my favorite scenes from the movie AD. So okay, well we got the music there, so that was nice. Um, so anyway, I deleted a bunch of stuff yesterday. I don't know how to get it back. My regular intro and everything like that, it's all gone. So anyway, we'll make do. Um, so I think let me see if I got the stuff I want here. Where did I? Okay. So anyway, yeah. So today I was thinking about the seven modes, Sabah Ahruf of the Quran, and it's a crazy story that is in the Hadith about the Quran, and it's particularly infuriating because Muslims still keep telling everybody that there's only one Quran, and most Muslims are innocent in this. They have nothing to do. It's the leaders, the Shia, who keep on telling them there's only one Quran when they know there's so many different Qurans, and that this was a problem that existed from the time of Muhammad, from the time of Abu Bakr, from the time of Uthman, and it's been consistent throughout the history of Islam that there's lots of Qurans. This goes back even while Muhammad was alive. There was this problem of so many different Qurans, and so the way they dealt with this is to come up with these crazy theories and crazy explanations. And Muhammad is the initiator of the craziest explanation, which is the Sab'a Ahruf, which is the seven modes of the Quran. And let's just look at some of the hadith that have to do with this. And uh, let's see, I'll just start reading from the green part. Well, actually, we could start from the top. It says, it seems that the seven styles, they call it styles, but it's not. Sab'a Ahruf. Ahruf means letters in Arabic. Literally, it means letters. Were revealed with different wordings as indicated by the hadith of Umar, because Umar's objection to the style, not the meaning. The differences between the styles, ways of reciting the Quran, are not a matter of contradiction and opposition. Yes, they are rather synonymous. As Ibn Mas'ud says, it is like one of you saying halumma, akbal, or ta'ad, all in different ways, meaning come here. Okay, so it's like using synonyms, like things that mean the same, but um, uh, different words. The hadith of Umar bin Khattab, who said, okay, now this is one of the stories where Muhammad concocted this crazy explanation. It says, this is Umar bin Khattab was in the mosque praying. Now this story is repeated twice in the hadith, once with Umar bin Khattab and once with Ubay bin Ka'b. Okay, and so Umar, of course, was the second caliph. Ubay was one of the Sahaba, one of Muhammad's. Okay. It says, I heard Hisham bin Hakim reciting Surah Al-Furqan in a manner different from that which I used to recite it, and the way in which Muhammad taught me to recite it. I was about to argue with him while he was praying, but I waited until he was finished the prayer, and then I tied his garment around his neck, very calm Islamic kindness, and seized him by it, and brought him to Muhammad and said, O Messenger, I heard him reciting Surah Al-Furqan in a way different to the way you taught me. The Messenger said to him, recite it. And he recited it as he had heard him recite it. The Messenger said, it was revealed like this. He said to me, recite it, and I recited it. He said it was revealed like this. The Quran has been revealed in 7 different ways. So recite it in the way that is easiest for you. So this is what happened. Muhammad forgot the way he recited it. His followers forgot it and started reciting it in different ways. And Muhammad came up with this explanation. It's Allah revealed it in 7 different ways. Sabah ahruf. And what's really funny about this, seems like, okay, this is a very simple explanation. The only thing is, ask Yasir Qadi. Yasir Qadi said that this is one of the most confusing, difficult topics in Islam. This is one of the most confusing topics in Islam, and he doesn't have an explanation for it. He has no way of explaining it. And he said he spent like over 20 years studying it, and he concluded at the end that he doesn't know what it is. Ibn Taymiyyah spent 40 years studying it, and he concluded he doesn't know what it is. And so anybody who says he knows what it is, they're better than Yasir Qadi and better than Ibn Taymiyyah. And it was such a huge, in all honesty, guys, if you want to know what this is, it's that Muhammad had a bad memory. He forgot the Quran. He maybe recited one way to this group, another way to another group. And because he forgot, he just said, okay, it's all good. They're all the same. But before that, he told them the Quran is one perfect preservation. It's even in the Quran 15:9 that it's perfectly preserved. And Allah himself preserves it, the Quran, from error. And yet, when there was this contradiction, Muhammad said, oops, yeah, this is all right. Everybody's right. So just whichever way is easiest for you, recite it that way. Well, that was just his way of dealing with the fact that he had forgotten the Quran. He, transmitted it one way to this group, one way to another group. It's all a memory problem. And this continued. And by the time Uthman, first of all, Abu Bakr and Omar, they at the Battle of Yamama said, let's compile the Quran after Muhammad died. They didn't. The guy who they wanted to do it, Zayd ibn Thabit did not want to do it. He says, "How can I do something Muhammad didn't want to do?" And so, but then Umar and Abu Bakr pressed upon him. He was convinced, and it says that Allah opened his heart to it, and so he did it. And but then there was still a gazillion different Qur'ans. In fact, if you go to the Islamic Encyclopedia, uh, it says there were 31 different Qur'ans, 31 different Qur'ans in the time of Umar and in the time of the caliphs. You know, all of the Sahaba had their own. Abdullah bin Mas'ud had his own. Ubay bin Ka'ab had his own. Salim had his own. You know, there was the four people that Muhammad said, take the Quran from these four because they were the best. Well, each one of them had a different Quran. And it's like, what the heck's going on here? You know, Abdullah bin Mas'ud's Quran had 111 surahs instead of 114. Ubay bin Ka'ab had 116 surahs, and you know, different from the rest. And I have a copy of the two extra surahs that Ubay bin Ka'ab had, and so this confusion, these problems, which are still in the Muslim world today, existed from the beginning. And the real problem is that the Quran makes this amazing boast. And the Quran isn't the only one. All the top Muslim scholars, including Yasser Qadi, Shabir Ali, Zakir Naik, Ahmad Didat, all of them say that there's only one Quran. It's perfectly preserved, every letter, every dot, every impossible for it to be changed. The gospel's been changed, the Torah's been changed, but nobody can change the Quran. But yes, they can. And they can, and they did. And the Quran, there's so many different Qurans. And hello, Tiger. God bless you, man. Good to see you, brother. Why you lose your my music? Oh, yeah. What happened is I accidentally the other day yeah, now it's styles. Yeah, we're going to look today. In fact, that's my main thing today is I want to look at what some of the different scholars say about, because if you look at Asyuti, Jalaluddin Asyuti, he's like the guy, Jalalain. Jalalain is like one of the most famous commentators, like Ibn Kathir is Jalalain. Jalalain means the two Jalals. There's two Jalals, and one of them is Jalaluddin Asyuti. He's a very highly regarded scholar, and he said there's 40 different opinions about what the seven ahruf means. 40 different opinions. And if you look at Yasser Qadi, he's got a paper where he says there's 28 different opinions about what the sab'a ahruf, the seven modes are. And it would just be easier for them just to say Muhammad had a faulty memory, he messed it up, Allah did not preserve it. The Quran is not eternal, it's just a book that people wrote. It'd be easier if they just say that, because they won't say that. They got to come up with all these 40 different theories about what the sab'a ahruf, and this doesn't include the qira'at. The qira'at are the recitations. That's post-Uthman. The recitations are post-Uthman. The ahruf are pre-Uthman. And so, yeah, they say wherever there's two Jews, you got three opinions. Well, wherever you got 7 Qur'ans, you got 40 different opinions. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's anyway, I just want to look at some of these different opinions. And we're not going to look at the 28, but I just want to look at some of the different opinions. And you know why this is such a big deal? And David Wood was talking about this today, that Nabil Nabil Qureshi, he really understood the importance of this to Muslims. Okay, like outside of Islam, you think, oh, it's a big deal, but so what? But to Muslims, this is devastating. This is devastating because they have been taught all their lives. And there's a verse in the Quran that says that Allah is going to preserve, and they believe it means the Quran, that Allah himself is the preserver, the Quran preserver. And so when you find out there's a gazillion different Qurans instead of the one, then you got to start coming up with crazy explanations. And that Muhammad was the initiator of these crazy explanations. And Muhammad is the one who dreamed up the Sab'a Ahruf, the 7 modes. Some call it modes, some call it style, some call it dialect, some call it, they don't know what to call it because they don't know what it is. And I think that it's so telling. It's so telling when Yasser Qadi says, and he wrote 28 different opinions about what the Ahruf is. Ibn Taymiyyah has 40 different opinions about what the Ahruf is. Nobody knows. And the reality of the matter is Muhammad had a faulty memory. Allah didn't write this. And so anyway, that's why we got these crazy explanations. So anyway, I want to look at some of these explanations. I wanted to look at a couple more things about the Ahruf also. There's I heard this is Umar bin Khattab. This is the one. Okay. Yeah, I already read this one. This is another one. Ubay bin Ka'b told of Muhammad meeting Jibril, saying, I have been sent, Jibril, to a people who are unlettered, among whom are old women and old men, boys and girls, men who have not read a book. He replied, the Quran, Muhammad, has been sent down in 7 modes. In a version by Ahmed and Abu Dawood, he said, they included only what is sufficiently health-giving. In a version of Nisa'i, the Prophet is quoted as saying that Gabriel and Michael came to him, and when Gabriel had sat down at his right and Michael at his left, Gabriel told him to recite the Quran in 1 mode. Michael told him to ask for more, till he reached 7 modes, each mode being sufficiently health-giving. Okay. So this is Mishkat al-Misabiyah. So, here, I never knew that they did this. It's kind of funny. But Muhammad, for his most insane explanation about the Quran variances, the fact that there's so many different Qurans, he enlisted the assistance of 2 of the 3 archangels we know of. In the Bible, there's 3 archangels we know of: Lucifer, Michael, Gabriel. Muhammad he foisted this on Michael. He foisted this insanity on Michael and said, it's Michael who said to do this. This is in their books, and so this doesn't just involve Jibreel. Michael got involved in this too. He went and foisted this on Michael, the Archangel Michael. And Muhammad didn't have nothing original. And when he had a disaster of this caliber, he needed to enlist the big guns. Okay. So he didn't, Jibreel by himself wasn't enough. He had to go get Michael involved on this one. So I never knew that before. That's hilarious. So he got both Michael and Jibreel working on this one. You know what, you guys? I'm sorry. We have to come up with a AI picture of Michael and Jibreel sitting around Muhammad and consulting him about how to get, all these different Qurans. And this is hilarious. This is the first time I've ever read that Michael and Gabriel were both enlisted, because the bigger the faux pas, the bigger the disaster, you need to bring in the big guns. You need to bring in the big names, okay? And you need to name drop a lot. So don't just blame Jibreel, but blame Jibreel and Michael. So both of them are involved in the disaster that is the Sab'a Ahruf, the 7 Ahruf. Okay. And so I never knew that before, but that's hilarious. So dude, I gotta do a shoot. I want to see if I can get Grok to make me a picture now of this. Let me see if I can get them. Well, let me see if I get imagine. Okay. Okay. I don't know if it's going to do it, because Grok is very Islamist, very Islamic. And so, oh, dude, it worked. Dude, this is crazy, man. Eh, This is insane. Okay, Jibril and Michael. I really don't want to forget this. This is one reason why I want to do this, is because I don't want to forget that I don't want to forget that the hadith says this. This is so crazy. And it's so like Muhammad when he got a big disaster on his hands, like this seven modes situation. The fact that he taught everybody that the perfection of Quran preservation, and then he forgot what he said in his Quran. And so to help explain it, he enlisted Michael and Jibril. Here's the picture, you guys. Here they are, bringing the Quran down to him. So, yes, you saw it here first, you guys. Jibril and Michael both. And you know what's so amazing, you guys? You know what's so amazing to me? I got to say this to you, and I just say this with all sincerity of heart, is that Michael looks a lot like Barry Gibb of the Bee Gees. And, that's my opinion. You guys may have a different opinion. There's 40 different opinions about this whole situation. But about these two angels, I think they look like the Bee Gees, like at least two of them. Okay. But that one with the book in his hand, that looks like Barry Gibb. I'm sorry. Okay. I know some of you guys are offended by this, but I just gotta share my opinion about this. Don't you think that looks like Barry Gibb? Look at that. Staying alive, staying alive. Ah, 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 ah. So, wow, that's crazy, man. Muhammad enlisted Michael to fix his disastrous Quran preservation when he was exposed. This was such a big deal. Now you don't see it in the Umar bin Khattab story where he took this guy to Muhammad. There doesn't talk about Umar bin Khattab's reaction, but when Ubay bin Ka'b he did the same thing. He heard somebody else saying something else, and he grabbed the guy and took him to Muhammad, to complain about him. And then Muhammad said, "Okay, you recite," and then you recite, and Muhammad said, "Both of you are right." Well, when that happened, Ubay bin Ka'b said, "Shak dakhal fiyya." Doubt entered my. He says, "I didn't doubt Islam this much since the time of the Jahiliyyah, time of ignorance." It was devastating for Ubay bin Ka'b because he believed Muhammad that the Quran is perfectly preserved and it's from Allah preserves it and all that. He believed all that. And then he found out, wait a minute, this is all a lie. This is all a lie. And he was devastated. But Muhammad came to the rescue, because what Muhammad did is he punched him in the chest. And that punch in the chest drove the doubt out of him. Or, what I really think happened is that reminded him that if you cross Muhammad, you may lose your head. So just play along with this thing. Same way with Aisha, when Aisha realized that Muhammad had been lying to her by telling her that Mary, the mother of Jesus, is the sister of Aaron. When she realized that that was a lie, she whoa. It says she stayed silent, but she, like Ubay bin Ka'b here, realized, you know what? it's to my advantage to keep playing along with this. He's going to keep playing along with this game. And so, yeah, so, uh, yeah. uh, so, anyway, I want to look at what some of the Islamic scholars say about these seven. By the way, I know you guys are wanting to see the picture again. The Barry Gibb, Michael. They actually use Barry Gibb's hairstyle and beard and for the Archangel Michael. Looks like Barry Gibb coming down with the words. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Now let me just show you what some of the Muslim scholars and like you guys, there's like I said, Yasser Qadi lists 28 opinions. Ibn Taymiyyah has 40 opinions about what it means. They don't have a clue what the seven modes are. But these are some theories about what the seven modes are. So let's just look. These are all Islamic theories. So none of it is Christians trying to say anything about Islam. This is all Islamists. Okay. All right. One of the views is the dialectical view. Okay, lughat. In Arabic, lughat means languages. So, but they're kind of saying it's like a dialect, that there's 7 tribal dialects. This is the most widely cited opinion. Scholars like Abu Ubaid bin Qasim bin Salim argued that the Quran was revealed in the distinct accents and wordings of the 7 major Arab tribes, such as Quraysh, Hudayl, Tamim, and Hawazin. Okay, so they had these different tribes, and Muhammad said, "My people, they're not going to understand the Quran, even though it's Arabic and it's Qurayshi Arabic. So can you give it to me in each of the dialects?" That's what they're saying. Now, there's a lot of problems with that. It's like, how can you not understand? Because how can you not understand when it's only like you're 2 miles away from, the next tribe, and you don't understand what they're saying? Yeah, I mean, you need a special Quran, and then Allah would give these 7 different so-called dialects in this particular view. But what about people who don't speak Arabic at all? If this is supposedly for the whole world, how come the Japanese didn't get one? How come the Chinese didn't get one? How come the Germans and the Italians and the British didn't get one? Only Arabs got it. And they got 7 different kinds of Arabic, supposedly. And it just kind of seems a little racist, because it's like only Arabs, and Arabs don't just get one Quran, they get 7, and the rest of the world just has to learn Arabic. And anyway, but so this is one view of what ahruf means. It's a dialectical view. So it was in the 7 different dialects. This is what you guys, if this explanation worked, if this explanation is real, Yasser Qadi would have said so. Yasser Qadi, instead, he lists 28 different opinions about it. This is one of, according to Ibn Taymiyyah, 40 different opinions about what the Sabah Ahruf. This sounds reasonable, right? But nobody believes it. Nobody believes it. That's why Yasser Qadi says this is one of the hardest things. And he studied it for 20 years and concluded there is no answer for this. So this sounds real reasonable. Okay, Sabah Ahruf, 7 different modes, 7 different dialects. But I don't think Yasser Qadi believes this, or he would have said this is what it means. He doesn't believe it, and he studied it for 25 years. So anyway, but this is what some people say. This is the most common, is that this is what it is. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so and then you guys, I got to say one thing that is important about this Sabah Ahruf, 7 modes of the Quran, whatever it is, and that is, at the end of the day, Uthman supposedly burned 6 of them. Uthman burned 6 of them and kept 1 of them. So if it was just Arabic dialects, well, he burned 6 of them. And you got to wonder, dude, this is why they killed him. This is why they killed Uthman, because of this. Yeah, even the Farsi didn't get one. Farsi didn't get one. The Turks didn't get one. The Kurds didn't get one. Yes. Farsi is Ida's language. Yes. And so, you know, they gave them in all these Arabic languages, but they did not. But they still don't know what it is. Okay. So this is one theory. Okay. This is one theory about what the 7 modes of the Quran, or I don't even know if modes is the right, I don't even know what the right word to say is. But this is a dialectical view, so it's different dialects. Okay. If this worked, you guys, Yasser Qadi would have accepted it, and he would be trumpeting it from the housetops. But he doesn't, because this explanation does not work. This is a theory, but it doesn't work. Here's another one. 7 distinct dialects, the view of the Quran, okay? There's the synonym leeway theory. And the synonym leeway theory is that Muhammad was granted divine permission to allow interchangeable use of synonyms. So, like, what are some synonyms that you can think of? For instance, goodness, yeah, I'm going to say something, Janice, about this, about the situation here. You know what? I think Europe is at a tipping point, because some guy beheaded a woman in Italy too. There's a beheading in Italy. There's a situation in Ireland where a guy tried to behead somebody. And then there was the situation in England with the kid who was stabbed. And England is still on fire from that. And if they did this, if they got another stabbing in England, dude, there's going to be riots in Europe. Not this. The other one is in Italy. It's in Italy. This could go Europe wide. It's not just going to be in the British Isles. It's going all the way to Italy. This dude, this has, you know what? I think this is something like this is what's going to bring about the Antichrist. I think something like this is what's going to bring about the Antichrist, you guys. So, yeah, it is. Yeah, since I brought it up, and I hate. Okay. Okay. It's in a city called Scandicci, Italy. Okay, let's see what this says. Lead story. It says, was a woman decapitated in Scandicci, Italy on June 2026? I say, no, that's not true. The case is not a recent. Italian media widely reported that both the murder and arrest happened in February 2026. But right now it's going all over the media. And a North African man with drug precedents arrested. And you know what they're saying? He had mental health issues. The woman was called Silky Sour. Okay. And the man is Isam Chile. Was a Moroccan man. Dude, it's like Europe is about, I don't know what's going to happen to Europe, man. This is crazy. Oh, Jesus, bring peace, Lord. We don't want to see it. Anyway, just, the synonyms, that it's okay to change the words for other words. For instance, what are some synonyms? You guys, let me see. List of synonyms. Right, you know, just, whoops, just because of when you need it, synonyms. Okay. Um, for instance, you could say somebody is happy, or you could say they're joyful, or you could say they're sad, or they're unhappy. You could say they're fast, or they're quick. You can say they're smart or intelligent. You could say I'm beautiful or attractive. With me, both work. You can say they're important, or you can say they're significant. You see, these are synonyms: easy or simple, difficult or challenging, brave or courageous. They're different words that mean the same thing. And so what they're saying is that with the different ahruf, they just use different words, but the words that mean the same thing. But that's not true. That's not what the case is. But that's one of the explanations about what the 7 modes or ahruf are. So, oh, really? Okay, the one that was stabbed. Well, praise God. Dude, it's scary, man. Europe is getting so scary, man. It's like every day, man. Okay, let's look at another explanation. Okay, this is the mixed dialectical vocabulary explanation about what the Sab'a Ahruf are. Another opinion states that the Quran is primarily in the Quraysh dialect, but harf refers to the specific words borrowed from other regional dialects to enrich its text. For instance, certain words originate from the Hudayl or Law tribes. Okay, so I don't know what the heck that means. Okay, I don't think anybody knows what it means. And if it was significant, if it was convincing, Yasser Qadi would have embraced this and he would be teaching this, but he's not, because this is a pathetic explanation and it's not convincing. If it was convincing, you guys, Yasser Qadi would be pushing it. Instead, he says nobody knows what this means. And so these are their attempts to explain it. And, apparently in his book, he's got 28 explanations. I'm not going to show you 20. I'm just going to show you a few of them. But the fact that there's 28 and he's not convinced, he didn't come out and say, this is the one I believe. Okay. It proves, because if he was convinced, he wouldn't go through all of this and just say, we got all these different explanations of it because we don't know what the heck it means. And then when he talked to Muhammad Hijab, what did he say? This is the hardest thing in all of Islam, and you shouldn't be talking about it in front of people. You should just take my class and let me teach you what it means. And okay, here's another explanation: the textual and grammatical variation. Wujuh. Okay, 7 categories of linguistic change. This was popularized by Abdul Fadl al-Razi. It's not the same as Fakhruddin al-Razi. There must be someone else. This view states that ahruf refers to 7 specific ways a text can vary structurally. They're really digging deep, man. All of this because Muhammad didn't want to just tell him, oops, I forgot and I messed up and this isn't really from Allah. But because they want to hold on to their belief in the perfect preservation of the Quran, they got to come up with all these crazy explanations as to what the Sab'a Ahruf, the 7 Ahruf is. Now, you guys, this doesn't even begin to deal with the 37 Qira'at. The different recitations. That's a whole different issue. This is just the alleged 7 modes that Muhammad supposedly got. Okay. Differences in noun numbers. For instance, singular and plural. Okay. So instead of having a verse, and instead of the verse saying horse, it says horses. Or instead of saying donkey, it says donkeys. Or instead of saying house, it says houses. So it's got number issues. So that's one of the differences in the textual grammatical variation, or wujuh. Okay, another difference in verb tenses. Now, you guys, how is this not a humongous disaster? It is a disaster. I tell you what, he should have also enlisted a couple more angels to help him with it, get him out of this one. This is huge, man. Verb tenses. So instead of saying, I'm going to San Francisco, in another Quran, it says, I went to San Francisco. Okay. Or say, I'm going to Medina. Instead of saying, I'm going to Medina, you say, I went to Medina. And so some Qurans say it in the future, some say it in the past. How is that not a disaster? My goodness. Dang. That is, I mean, that borders on comical. It's hilarious. Differences in grammatical inflections, lirab or vowel endings. Grammatical inflections, vowel endings. You guys, I don't even know what to say about that one. I'm not sure exactly what that even means. Grammatical inflections. I'rab or vowel endings. So this is a problem that happens in the Quran between the different versions, but I'm not sure exactly what it means. And but it sounds like a disaster. He better get another couple angels there to help him out of this one. Okay, another kind is word substitution. So he substitutes one word for another. So instead of saying, the the robin flew overhead, you say the F-16 flew overhead because you substitute one word for another. So this is something that happens in the Quran. Addition or omission, or word order. So instead of saying John went to his family's house and then he went to work, you say John went to work and then he went to his family's house. I mean, that completely changes. I mean, which one is true? Which one is true when you change the word order? And you guys, this is relevant to like this stuff that's said about Jesus, because there's a verse in the Quran where it says, "Inni mutawaffiku rafi'aka ilayya." I made you to die and raised you up to myself. And you know what Muslims have done with this, because it's inconsistent with what they believe, is that they say, oh, what the Quran means is I raised you up to myself and I will make you to die. Because they don't want to say that he died. So they say he's going to come back and then be here 40 years and then die. But the order that's in the Quran is I made you to die and raised you up to myself. But there's like, I can show you the videos of sheikhs saying, it's, one sheikh explains it like this. He says, you could say John and Bob came to my house yesterday, or you can say Bob and John came to my house yesterday. He just changed the order. But the thing is that these are actions and they are happening in a chronological way in that sentence, but they're changing the order. And so here it is saying word order changes. This is, what a disaster. This is a big disaster. I don't think Michael and Gabriel are enough to make up for these disasters here. Dang. Okay, let's see what some other people say. Okay, the fluidity. These guys, it's like they go to Harvard University. They have gender fluidity. This is Quran fluidity. What the heck does this mean? Absolute synonym leeway. Come on, you guys. from kindergarten, from nursery school, you're teaching kids there's only one Quran, it can't be changed. The Bible's been changed. And then you got all of this to explain the fact that the Quran is so badly, desperately unpreserved. So you got to come up with fluidity, gender fluidity to explain. Oh boy, yay. Absolute synonym leeway. Boy, what the heck does that mean? This opinion argues that harf refers to divine permission. You guys, permission is idhin in Arabic. Idhin is permission. Divine is ilahi. Idhin ilahi. It's got harf means letter, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's what harf means. And so they now are saying that a letter like A, B, C, D means divine permission. Yo boy, look at this disaster. Look at this, you guys. Yo boy, wow. It'd be great if we had a Muslim to come on and help us understand this. Look what it says. Refers to divine permission for early Muslims to substitute words with their exact synonyms. Oh, yeah. What the heck, man? To facilitate ease of recitation for those who couldn't read or write. If they can't read or write, what the difference is going to make? I did. You guys, when you all your life you've been taught there's only one Quran, and then you see they came up with all these crazy explanations to understand what the ahruf is, the 7 modes. Muhammad is the one who foisted this explanation on the world, on the Quran. And look at everything there. Look at the quagmire. Look at what, wow. Unbelievable. Look at this. It refers to divine permission for early Muslims to substitute words with their exact synonyms. The fluidity and agnosticism views. Absolute synonym leeway. You know, it's just that if you go talk to a Muslim on the street, they're still going to tell you there's only one Quran perfectly preserved. Do they know all of this? My goodness. Dude. Well, in case we have a Muslim here who would like to come up and help us out here, we don't understand what this means. Hello, Dragon. God bless you. Lord bless you. Dang. Muslims shuffle all the time. That's the only thing they're. This is unbelievable, man. No wonder they had to bring Michael into this. God bless you, Dragon. God bless you. So, wow, this is really wild stuff, man. This is really wild stuff. Unbelievable, man. Permission to substitute words. Dang. You know, when you've been taught all your life, the Quran is so perfect, and then you read this. Dang. Muslims leave Islam. Okay. Oh man, this is going to be a real jewel here. The conceptual and thematic categories. Okay. You know what? Whenever they got to really enlist all these big words, 4-syllable words, you know they are in trouble. That's almost as bad as crappadocious. What is that word? That crapidarian? was that word that Yasser Qadhi used? Ultra crapidarian or whatever. when you're in a corner and you know you're messed up and you got no way out, just start using big words. That's what bureaucrats in government do. That's what politicians do. And that's what these guys are doing. The conceptual and thematic categories. What? Okay, types of meanings. Some early scholars argued that the 7 modes, ahruf, did not refer to pronunciation at all, but rather to 7 thematic categories of text within the Quran. For example, commands, amr, prohibition, nahi, promises of reward, wa'ad, threats of punishment, wa'ad, arguments, jadal, stories, qisas, and parables, amthal. So what the heck does that have to do with the fact that there's 7 different ones? So how does this account for the different wordings in the different modes or ahruf? How does this account for that? It's just saying that there's these 7 categories of writings in the Quran. This is really wild. I don't know if we have any Muslims here. Ultra crepidarian, yes. If we had a Muslim here who can help us, a Muslim scholar to help us, that would be great. All right, let's continue. I think this may be the last one here. The metaphorical 7. A minority opinion suggests that the number 7 was not literal, but rather metaphorical, Arabic expression meaning many sides or limitless ease. Wow. No wonder. You guys, I'm only showing you like 5 or 6 of these. But there's 40 of these explanations of what ahruf means. If you're not confused yet, just read the rest of them. And you guys, why is this important? Because Muhammad came up with this one. The Qira'at and all that stuff, those were created later. But this is something Muhammad supposedly came up with himself. And nobody knows what the heck he's talking about. This is where Islam just ties you up into a pretzel. Because you're supposed to hold on to the belief that there's only one Quran. It's perfectly preserved by Allah himself. And yet then you discover that it's got Muhammad himself said there's more than one. There's at least 7 in his day. Uthman burned 6 of them and kept 1, and now we got 237 different Qurans. And so you got to explain it somehow and still get people to hold on to the belief that there's only one Quran that is perfectly preserved by Allah himself. And that it is identical to what's in the Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. And believe me, I know it. The Muslims really do believe that. And I'm not insulting them. I used to believe it. They're being lied to. They're being lied to. And then, when they want to explain what the 7, the different qira'at or recitations are, they'll say, oh no, all of them are one. There's only one Quran, even though they see the books, they see the different books, and then they still say there's only one. And then you just go, okay. Okay. So is this the last? Okay, one more. The agnostic view. Well, I don't know what this is. Says prominent scholars, including Ibn Sa'dan and Al-Suyuti himself. This is Al-Suyuti, you guys. in some of his commentaries, ultimately concluded that the exact nature of the ahruf is mutashabihat, meaning its true definition is a mystery known only to Allah. There you go. That's the best. Just say Allah's the only one who understands this one. You guys, Asyuti wrote 40 of these opinions. I mean, he didn't come up with them. He was saying these are the 40 different opinions floating around right now. And his conclusion was just say Allah's the only one who understands this, because no human being can understand what this means. This is Asyuti, the one who came up. He's the one who wrote about the 40 opinions. And his conclusion is only Allah knows. And really, I won't be surprised if Yasser Qadhi doesn't adopt this view and just say, Allah's the one who knows. Forget it. But the problem is, you see what Yasser Qadhi said in his interview. He says, when you're talking to Muslims and believers in Islam, you can get away with that. But when you're in a university setting, you don't get away with that. This is when they look at you and say the emperor wears no clothes. He says you have to, these explanations don't work in academia. Okay, this is something else here. There you go, you guys. These are just 7 of the so-called 40 explanations. 40. Dang. And there's probably more than that, but Asyuti came up with 28 explanations. And so anyway, that's all I want to talk about a little bit. And let's just look a little bit at the Bible. Let's just look a little bit at the Bible in light of all of this unbelievable, mind-blowing. And it's, see what Jesus said about the Bible. And earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Okay. Then let's go to Matthew 5. And then Jesus here is talking. Let's see, what is this? What kind of Bible is this? It's like, I don't know what kind of version this is. I just want Matthew 5. Matthew 5. Okay. Okay, here. All right. Okay. Okay, right here, Jesus says, do not think I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish, but to fulfill them. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter or the least stroke of the pen will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. Okay, so here Jesus is saying that the Old Testament, heaven and earth will pass away before the Old Testament can be changed. And in chapter 24, he says, heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. So, God's words are preserved. And then let's go to Revelation. Revelation, I believe it's 22. Okay. It says, I warn everyone who hears the words of this prophecy of this scroll. If anyone adds anything to them, God will add to that person the plagues described in this scroll. And if anyone takes away from this scroll of prophecy, God will take away from that person any share in the tree of life and in the holy city, which are described. So the Bible is preserved. The Quran is not preserved. And the Ahruf situation is the best way to say that. So we're like three, but Muslims, no, it's so unfair. Yeah, Islam, you're not allowed to say three. You have to say 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, because it says do not say three. It does say that. It says don't say three. And whenever they translate into English, they always don't say Trinity. But in Arabic, it's don't say three. Literally the number three. So, all right, you guys. Well, that's kind of what I wanted to share with you. Um, just Janice is rebelling, you guys. Just Janice is being very rebellious against the Quran. She said three. Look at what she's saying. She's saying three, 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 three. I don't think that's a trillion. Is that a trillion? Like our friend Elon Musk. Let's just look at the news really quick. There's a lot of bad news today. Dang. All of this stuff that's going on. All right, we'll go ahead and call it a night here, you guys. We made it to an hour and 2 minutes. So, all right. If you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. يسوع ساعدني. يسوع سامحني. يسوع ادخل قلبي. And I know you guys want to see this again, the Barry Gibb, Bee Gees, Barry Gibb bringing Muhammad the Quran. So, okay, guys, thanks for being with us. Have a great night. I think I can do the music here, can't I? I think I have to go like over here.